Finishing out this week's edition of the show, what's great about us being able to have a podcast and being able to film and record all the things that we want to talk about is that we can do this in a platform and a way that is a little more direct. Because as we all know, if you're somebody who follows us on social media, you have social media, and you know that social media is, well, it's got its good, but it's got a lot of its bad. And most importantly, it's just hard to essentially understand. And what I mean by understand is you can't really have actual conversations. It's hard to understand tone of voice. It's hard to understand what people actually mean. Are you being sarcastic? Are you being accurate? Are you trying to be funny? Is this a real honest opinion? Are you a troll? Are you a robot? Are you even real? Are you AI? All those kind of things. So this gives me an opportunity to talk about a tweet that I put out this week about the upcoming WWE Unreal Season 2 appearing, I think, in the later parts of January. And I put out a tweet to Conrad Thompson. Conrad Thompson, he's as Brandon always says, the pod father, because he's in all the podcasts, right? Whether it's with Eric Bischoff, Bruce Pritchard, Jeff Jarrett, he's in all of them, right? Tony Schiavone, he's kind of the head of all of those podcasts. And he put out a few months ago a tweet that says that if you want to live in the world of kayfabe, right? You want to live in the world of 1999 WWF where you didn't know where the line was drawn and you didn't know what was real and what was fake and you didn't know who was what. Well, you can still do that in today's day and age because, well, if you just watch it the same way you used to watch it before, you watch Raw, you watch SmackDown, you watch pay-per-views, and you don't go on social media and you don't watch Unreal, it'll all be the same to you because in 1999, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. So you watched the show, you talked about the show with your friends, and that's where it died. But today's day and age, you know all the backstage stuff and you know all of that, but that's because you choose to know all of that. So I sent out a tweet on during Monday Night Raw this past week that essentially wasn't saying that I believe kayfabe is real, but WWE this past week on Monday Night Raw aired a clip of the upcoming Unreal season, meaning that I'm watching Raw, I'm living in kayfabe world, I'm in the reality of WWE where the world is all scripted and it's all a show, and in the middle of my show, they do a peel back behind the scenes, advertisement for the upcoming season of Unreal to essentially spoil some of the magic. So I sent a tweet out that says, now that WWE has been putting Unreal clips on my WWE Raw programming, is it still possible for me to stay in the kayfabe world as you essentially told me to? Because I'm not looking at spoilers, I'm not reading dirt sheets, but here I am still, unfortunately, being told and what's happening on Unreal, despite the fact that I'm not somebody who's watching it currently. His response was to watch any other wrestling promotion, essentially kind of punting in the football world, right? Punting the ball, just saying, I guess try something else. Not saying you're right, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't avoid it.
Answer. It was a lazy answer by Conrad. Like, I get it. He's got like 100,000 followers, whatever the hell it is. Like, I know he's got a lot going on, but that was kind of a lazy answer. Like, for somebody who, considers himself like, very, I would say, very knowledgeable about the business. Like, I feel like he is. Like, I'll give him his tip of the cap, so to speak, because even like Eric Bischoff will allude to like his memory of like things that happened in like 1996. I actually look at you the same way. You remember things that a lot of people may not remember, the finer details of things. So you and Conrad in that area are very similar. But the difference is, I think Conrad missed the point. I think, and I'll be honest with you, because of social media and the world we live in, kayfabe is dead unless you just shut off social media. You shut off these things. And like you mentioned, if Unreal didn't show on my TV, okay, I'm okay with it. Like, I don't, it's not in front of my face. If I just come to watch wrestling, don't go on social media. I don't go to the dirt sheets and all that stuff where, where a lot of those knuckleheads, get their quote unquote facts and sources and stuff like that. Then, okay, that kind of kills the vibe, so to speak, and shows that, kayfabe is dead. But if you're just watching it and you're not doing any of that stuff, kayfabe's alive. But so like that, to me, that can, that could be, I mean, maybe Conrad's saying, watch any other one. Maybe he's just saying, just watch it and don't go on social media. Don't read the dirt sheets. I mean,
Which I don't, but unfortunately, I know the Seth Rollins injury was a long since planned out thing, and because I saw the clip of the upcoming season, just like they show the clip of them planning for CM Punk and whoever to win the Royal Rumble last year ended up being Jey Uso, right? Those clips of a show I've never watched Unreal in the actual, I click it on Netflix and I sit down and watch it. But I know, and I've seen some of the clips, you know what I mean? Because it's like when I was a kid, I was definitely afraid of Chucky, you know, from Child's Play. As a child, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, they were all scary. I hated seeing any of them. And I didn't watch any of the movies, but I was very familiar with who they were because you can't avoid commercials and trailers and things when you are watching other movies and not watching those particular things. And one avenue that's kind of a little more topical that I'll kind of go that same route is, if you did today we're recording this as a Friday, didn't want to know who won Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes on SmackDown until you in the American audience got to watch it after it was already tape delayed from 6 hours earlier, somebody might tell you, well, don't follow the dirt sheets, don't follow the spoilers, just stay tuned to WWE programming. But it's funny because even if you did that, WWE themselves put out tweets prior to SmackDown, meaning they didn't reveal who won, but they put shots of people in the crowd, sad faces, and said, you won't believe what happened on SmackDown tonight in the title match. You're going to want to tune in and find out. Essentially, they're spoiling their own show. So if I told you, hey, only follow WWE on social media and you'll never be spoiled, right? Because they're never going to spoil it, right? They're never going to tell you who wins the Rumble or any of that kind of stuff. Well, I guess I'd be wrong if I told you that too, because here they are spoiling their own show. Yeah. So like, it's really like unavoidable. That's what I'm just trying to say. You know, even if you tried to be naive, even if you tried to avoid these things, it's really unavoidable. And I understand that it's unavoidable. I'm just trying to say back to Conrad, who told us that it was avoidable. I don't think it's true.
I got to pause you though. You know, I mean, you and I have had conversations, you know, off the air, just, just private conversations. And you know the lengths that I go, you know, for not only wrestling but other sporting events. I turn off notifications. I go dark. Like, it's almost like my phone goes back to being like an old school flip phone where, yeah, I'll get a text, I'll get a call. I'm not looking at anything else. So I mean, if you really want to put the effort in, you can make it work. And I have. It is very hard because what has happened to me in the past is, you know, if I don't turn my notifications off, it's going to pop up and then it ruins everything for me. So I've learned to turn my notifications off.
You have to do that on an event by event basis. You can't live your whole life like that.
No. Absolutely not. No, I can't. I just, like, for me, it's like, if there's like a big show that I, you know, because of my work schedule, it's like, I can't watch it live. I jokingly will tell people that are like fans of it as well, that I'm going to see that next day. I don't want to talk to you. Like, we're not talking today. Like, we'll talk. I'll text you when I've seen it. And that's like we were, you know, talking about SmackDown. It's like, because of the special start time, I got to watch it pretty much on my own terms, pretty much. And that was kind of nice. So, I mean, if you can avoid it, it's a lot of work, because it's not like it was back in the 90s when I was a kid and you were a kid, where like, you have to call the hotline if you want to get the information from Gene Okerlund. You know what I mean? Like that stuff doesn't really happen anymore, because everything is at your fingertips with a cell phone.
And it's weird. So this past week, CM Punk and a bunch of other, Seth Rollins included, even talk about exactly how real Unreal is, as they were on a lot of radio shows this past week, talking about some of the stuff that they even reveal, like, meaning they're not necessarily fans of the show themselves. And they even have to say, like, listen, I understand. Again, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, but even they are like, I still am going to hold back on some stuff. So out here telling me that, hey, wrestling's scripted, just get over it. Meaning some of the people who thought my tweet meant that I truly believe that kayfabe could still exist. I don't. It was kind of sarcasm in the sense of telling Conrad that I don't believe it could exist. So I was just kind of placating to that. I understand it's hard to avoid, but showing you just still how important it is to an extent, because people are talking about, well, movies are scripted. And yes, we all know that. I've been one of the arguments to people who don't watch wrestling in knowing that it's scripted. People have told me it's fake my whole life. I've been on that side my whole life. But even so, wrestling's different, because Seth Rollins, CM Punk, these people are even saying that, yes, Unreal exists. There's nothing we can do about it. But even to their extent, they're like, well, we still do hold back some stuff, because, again, we wish Unreal just didn't exist, and we want it to exist the least way possible.
Okay.
So
Paul Heyman's not going to give out all this. It's like he's not going to give out like Colonel Sanders like secret ingredients for that special chicken. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be some stuff because they're trying to create other alternative programming that's not like Raw or SmackDown. It's just reality based. But they're not going to give all of it. They're going to keep some stuff. You would hope, because even Paul Heyman said he's not a fan of the show because he's old school. He wants to keep things. He wants to keep things like keep the fans in the dark to make it more interesting, for the fans. Because when you go online at social media, you go to the dirt sheets, you're already like, it's like you get all these. You're like, all right, you already predicted all 30 participants in the men's and women's rumbles because, oh, hey, so and so from this dirt sheet said, oh, here's the list. And to me, it's like it takes away from the experience of watching it and not knowing anything. Like that.
We all know wrestling's scripted. We've always known that. I know wrestling scripted. Brandon, you know wrestling scripted. Obviously. That's not a new thing. But at the end of the day, what we can say is that a lot of people are saying movies are scripted and TV shows are scripted. I think wrestling, while it being scripted, still to just put it in the all scripted category, it's not as black and white, it's not as clear as that. That's why it's as popular as it is. That's why we're still talking about it in this way many years later, because it's not just as simple as it's scripted and a story.
Yeah.